Welcome to the No Spin News, Thursday, October 10th, 2024. Stand up for your country. Well, if the election were held tomorrow, Donald Trump would win. That's according to internal polling, and I believe it, but it's still close. He wouldn't be a landslide or anything like that, but he would win if it were held tomorrow, but it won't be. So anything could happen. Both campaigns, however, are shifting strategies based on the reality that I just told you. So other news agencies aren't going to report this, but there's changes going on in both camps. And I'm going to get into that very specifically tonight, which is why you're here. And we always appreciate you watching and listening to the No Spin News. But first, let's go to storm politics. We touched on this yesterday, and it is a subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. So Hurricane Milton is gone, thank God. The consensus is it wasn't as bad as the media hyped it up to be. You never know about these things, but the combination of Helene and Milton, millions of Americans are suffering, got hurt, and we should all try to help them in any way we can, right? That's what good people do. Now, the political parties are blaming each other, and we all know that's going to happen. Doesn't particularly disturb me. I went over it last night in great detail with you, who was doing what to whom and what was true and what wasn't true. Just a brief recap. Category 3 hit Siesta Key, Florida. I spent some time in Siesta Key. Beautiful place outside of Sarasota. Got whacked. It's a barrier island. And the storm surge was up big all over Florida, extending as far north as South Carolina. I got a friend down there who says, his house on the water, and they're getting big tides down there. At airtime now, about 9 people, I shouldn't say about, we have 9 people dead at airtime. That's going to go up a little bit. But the storm, as I said, was not as bad as expected, and this is the consensus. But we'll have a guest who's going to put it on perspective in a moment. Tropicana Field, that's the Rays, Tampa Bay. Roof got blown off the place. And not because they're winning the World Series. Milton blew the roof off the place. That's pretty interesting. And both campaigns are not only blaming, but trying to capitalize. Governor DeSantis is good in these situations, I think. He's out there. He speaks in ways that everybody understands. He's very specific. He's organized. And I don't think there's any two sides to that story. DeSantis objects to Kamala Harris, as you would expect, trying to inject herself into the hurricane relief, which she is. There's no doubt that the Democrats want to try to put themselves on the side of the angels here. I think Harris made a big mistake saying that DeSantis would not take her call. Publicly said and lambasted the governor. See, DeSantis says, I didn't get a call. I don't know what's true. I don't. I know it's chaos. But I think Harris made a mistake in doing that. And then, as we played last night, Joe Biden came out and said, oh, no, DeSantis is doing a great job. That made Harris look really small. Now, is that going to be a big thing going forward? Probably not. But it's on the record. So, last night I was on News Nation, and Chris Cuomo was down in the middle of the storm, and they interrupted their coverage to bring me on to talk a little bit about the political ramifications. Go. The truth is, really on both sides, the truth doesn't really matter anymore with the election 3.5 weeks away. So don't expect any truth-telling from anybody. But it's fascinating on this level. So today, the Biden White House announced that no longer will Joe Biden be in charge of the hurricane relief. Now it's Kamala Harris who's going to call the shots. And where is Kamala Harris? In Las Vegas. The Democrats, they got no points out of this. I don't know if the Trump people got any points. DeSantis did, but he's not really allied with Trump anymore. But the Democrats got 0 points out of this whole thing. Summing up, we feel bad for our friends and our fellow citizens in Florida and in the Carolinas, in Georgia, Helene, Milton. I do say prayers for people like that. I know we live in a secular country, but that's pretty much all I can do. Nature did this, all right? No person was to blame. That's a memo. Let's bring in my personal weatherman. Yes, I have a personal weatherman. Can you believe that? And I have to, because I go so many places and do so many things. And the guy you're looking at is Joe Bastardi. He's in Pennsylvania. He's a big shot in the weather world. He hosts a show called The Wise Guys of Weather on radio stations across the country. And, okay, Bastardi, so give it to me straight. Did the media overhype Milton?
Well, I don't think so. I think that it did what a storm of that nature was supposed to do. Now, see, one of the problems is that the Saffir-Simpson scale is very much outdated. We've been using what we call a power and impact scale, Bill, which just doesn't take into account the wind at the center, but how far out the wind goes and how strong it is away from the center. So what you had with Milton was you had Category 3 damage in a relatively small area, but you have a widespread area of Florida with Category 1 and 2 damage, and that piles up. So the metric is Hurricane Ian a couple of years ago, right, for how much damage was done to Florida. This went through Ian hit further south, but came through the I-4 corridor and came off the Florida East Coast. So we'll have something to compare it to as far as how bad it was. But I hear this after every storm. It's either, it was worse than what they said or whatever. I just have to concern myself. What did we tell our clients? What am I telling the public? And what did I do in front of my Heavenly Father, rather than pay attention to all this other stuff that goes on?
And you were fairly accurate in your assessment. Now, Florida is in the danger zone, and so is Louisiana and Texas, Gulf Coast. This is not ever going to stop. These hurricanes have been going on since Ponce de Leon showed up in Florida looking for the fountain of youth, and he got wind in his face and said, yeah, maybe it's not here. Would that discourage you, the storms that we have every year, from moving down to Florida or the Southeast?
Well, you went through a long hurricane drought in Florida. We haven't had a major hurricane hit Southeast Florida, for instance, from Miami or West Palm Beach since 1992 with Hurricane Andrew. New England is in an unbelievable, Long Island, New England's in an unbelievable hurricane drought. We used to have one every 6 or 7 years. We haven't had one since 1991. That's amazing to think about that. So what happens is you see the cyclical nature of this. 2020 was a hurricane season like this. 2005, the congregation of tracks was around the Gulf of Mexico. Our December 7th forecast on Weather Bell, and I put it out on Twitter, said a hurricane season from hell was going to occur in 2024, centered where you see it now. I don't have a crystal ball. I just look at weather patterns and how they evolve. So this hurricane season so far is no surprise, but you have to remember that while one area is getting it, there are large areas that aren't getting anything at all. We're at record low levels in the Pacific Ocean in a lot of places, for instance. And I just brought up New England, where you live in Long Island. It's amazing. Yeah, I thought Henri was going to try to be the hurricane, and it fell apart a few years ago.
Yeah, so, Joe was at my house when I was coming in, but we had Sandy, which was terrible. And
but that hit New Jersey.
That hit New York, Joe. Believe me, it caused a lot of that. But look, I have one more question for you, and so far you've been very factual and you're very accurate, and that's why you're my personal weatherman. Are the storms that we are seeing here in the United States more ferocious than they used to be?
They get just as strong at the center, and they get stronger. They may get stronger faster because they're approaching the coast in a certain way, which causes the air to converge more toward the center. But they're smaller. They're much smaller than they used to be. Carla, for instance, Dan Rather broke his, into the media business with Carla. That gave hurricane force winds to all the Texas coast. Harvey, also a Category 4, 100 miles wide. Betsy versus Ida, 1944 hurricane, 500-mile wide diameter of hurricanes. So what happens is, it depends. Is it Steve Carlton when he was throwing 100 miles an hour, or when he had the wicked slider? Either way, it depends on how you look at it.
Either way, you're going to get it. But there's no you know, a lot of these people hype that we're now in superstorm territory. Are we done now? Is that it for the hurricane season this year?
No, I don't believe so. We've been telling our clients there'll be one more attempt probably coming out of the Western Caribbean the last week of October, first week of November. Then we'll close it. What's fascinating is that a late hurricane season like this usually means cold in December in the run up to Christmas. So that might be interesting. There's a reason for that. We won't get into it until I have to tell you you're going to get a foot of snow at your house.
Yeah, please call me. All right. Joe Bastardi, everybody. Appreciate it, Joe. Thanks. Good to see you. The Federal Reserve has dropped interest rates, so you need to call my friends at American Financing today. With mortgage rates in the fours, it's a perfect time to consolidate debt and reduce your monthly expenses. Now, many of us have been forced to use credit cards due to the cost of groceries, utilities, even childcare. And thanks to insanely high credit card rates, that debt becomes even more expensive. But American Financing helps homeowners, just like you, save more than $800 a month on average. They're even closing in as fast as 10 days. You can close it all in 10 days. And if you start today, you might be able to delay the next 2 mortgage payments. There's no upfront fees. To find out how much you can save, please call American Financing, 888-462-9557, 888-462-9557, AmericanFinancing.net/bill. Okay, final thought. Let's go to the mail. Diane Bach, Thief River Falls, Minnesota. Hey, Bill, I like and appreciate the No Spin News. I am voting for Donald Trump. I hang up on posters. I'm pro-life. Yes, Trump is arrogant, but that's why he's effective, in my opinion. And that's fine. If you are going to vote for Donald Trump, you don't have to explain yourself. And if you're going to vote for Kamala Harris, you don't have to explain yourself. That's your vote. You're a citizen. If you want to explain, good. Ed Cremine, Pewaukee, Wisconsin. Not Milwaukee, Pewaukee. Hey, Bill, there was never a more loyal soldier in Trump's inner circle than Mike Pence. So now when the former VP says he cannot and will not vote for Trump, why should any American vote for Trump? That's not what he said. You want to know what he said? Because people believe what they want to believe. Here's exactly what Mike Pence said. Okay, this was on August 9th, 2024. Between me and my former running mate, I cannot endorse President Trump's continuing assertion that I set aside my oath to support and defend the Constitution. I could never vote for Kamala Harris as President of the United States or Tim Walz for running mate, period. He didn't say he wasn't going to vote for Trump. He says he's not going to endorse him. Big difference. Now, I don't know who Vice President Pence is going to vote for. I don't care. But what's important is that you quote accurately. I know it's hard. Steve Birmingham, Yorba Linda, California. Appreciate the election coverage and detail behind your reporting, Bill. I've used your material regarding the gender divisions in polling when talking to folks. Most people are clueless. That's right. Most people don't know. That's why the No Spin News is so valuable in this country, because we do know. Linda Mead, Chicago. You mentioned on your October 8th show there are 800,000 fewer Americans on the job this year than last year, 2023. Is this due to retirements, people not working, or receiving welfare? I don't know. You won't know until the census comes out. The fact is that even with job growth in America, which is happening, 800,000 American-born workers are not on the job, and they were a year ago. But why? That's only the Census Bureau could find that out. I don't know when the next census is, but I think it comes up in 2 or 3 years. David, concierge member, unlike Barack Obama, President Theodore Roosevelt actually accomplished something very significant to win the Nobel Peace Prize, a treaty to end the fighting between Russia and Japan. Absolutely correct. And I assume you read Confronting the Presidents, because we rank Teddy Roosevelt very high. Now, again, I don't rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you know how I'm feeling about them, confronting the presidents. But you are absolutely right. Jana Shiver, a Chaplain, South Carolina. My book club is reading Killing the Witches. I'm hosting the discussion. What questions do you recommend we discuss? You know what the big thing on Killing the Witches is? How that horror in Salem, Massachusetts, and you know, if you go there in October, it's Bedlam up in Salem. I mean, that's the witch and Halloween and all of that. But how that was absorbed by Benjamin Franklin, who lived in Boston as a young man. He knew what was happening. And he, in the rest of his life, did not want this country to be based on theology. That's the most important part of that book. So I'm glad you guys are reading it and discussing it. Thomas Craig, Brentwood, Tennessee. In confronting the presidents, you state Adams Jefferson was the only time that president and VP were from different parties, weren't Lincoln and Johnson. Excellent question. And they weren't, because Tennessee had left the Union, and Andrew Johnson was a senator from Tennessee, but he stayed in the Senate representing the United States when his state left as if we don't want to be a part of the United States anymore. And that's what the Civil War is about. So the party breakdown occurred. Johnson was just a free agent. But excellent question, Thomas. All right, we'd like you to check out our YouTube. And I'm going to file a YouTube thing on the late night comedians and their effect on the presidential race in the country. That will be dropped tonight. YouTube.com/Bill O'Reilly. It is free. YouTube.com/Bill O'Reilly. Sign on up. And I'm going to go over them in a no-spin way. Fallon and Kimmel and Colbert. Ooh. Word of the day, no, be a puzzle wit. P-U-Z-Z-E-L-E. P-U-Z-Z-L-E-W-I-T. Great word. Back with a final thought in a moment. My Pillow has been canceled by another box store. That's too bad. But they're sharing an incredible offer for my listeners. Now for a limited time. You can get the standard size My Pillow for just $14.98. Usually retails for $49.98. My Pillow is made with patented adjustable fill. It adjusts to your exact individual needs regardless of your sleep position. So it holds its shape all night long to give your neck maximum comfort, get it aligned, and give you the best sleep of your life. But that's not all. There are deals on 4-piece kitchen or bath towel sets. Only $25 per set. New mattress toppers as low as $69.98. Famous My Pillow bed sheets, love them, as low as $25, and much more. Please go to mypillow.com or call 1-800-869-0298. Use promo code BILL to get huge discounts on all My Pillow products, including the standard size My Pillow, now only $14.98. Don't delay, order today. Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. America is at a breaking point. Record inflation, interest rates, debt. The last thing we need is more reckless government spending and higher taxes, and they could happen. But a Harris presidency could bring us into that zone, plus a hit to your retirement savings. So protect your savings with American Hartford Gold. They'll help you secure your retirement by diversifying with physical gold and silver. Start with a simple phone call. They'll guide you through the process, even deliver gold and silver right to your door, or place it directly in your IRA or 401k. Don't wait. These safe haven assets can protect you in an economic crisis. Call or text American Hartford Gold today. Tell them O'Reilly sent you to get up to $15,000 of free silver on qualifying orders. Call 866-501-5201. That's 866-501-5201. Or text BILL to 65532. Again, 866-501-5201. Or text BILL to 65532. Okay, let's do the final thought of the day. We will be here on Monday. I was going to take Monday off, give my staff a break, but I can't. Too much stuff going on. We'll be here. Now, yesterday I did a podcast Todd Ault, A-U-L-T, okay? He's a business guy, and he's a smart guy. And he asked me a very provocative question. Roll the tape.
I know you got a lot of followers. I mean, you've been, on Fox for all those years, and you became really well known, like one of the most well-known people in the world. I'm curious as to, maybe you won't even answer this question, but is half the population stupid?
So now we have a handheld escape. This is like a pipe of opium right here, okay? It's addictive, and it was manufactured to be addictive. So a kid gets this when he's 10 or she's 9 or whatever, and his or her whole life, childhood is wrapped around this, all right? Everything else is not reality. This is reality. Texting, going on, whatever sites you want to go on. So what happened in America's past, Thomas Jefferson, Constitution, Civil War, not important, okay? Because it doesn't pertain to this. When you have half the population in that circumstance, which you do, okay, the amount of knowledge they are accumulating to be a responsible citizen collapses. And that's where we are. And that's why I wrote Confronting the President. So now the Ault podcast drops today, and I do recommend that you listen to it. And thank you very much for watching and listening to the No Spin News. As I said, we'll have a provocative column on the mindsets of both Trump and Harris dropping on Sunday, and we'll see you again on Monday. Thank you for watching the No Spin News. To watch the full episode anytime on BillO'Reilly.com, please sign up to become a premium or concierge member. Visit BillO'Reilly.com to sign up and start watching today.